ad is over. Now that the live read is over, get a hold of us online at JiggyJaguar.com. That is JIGGYJHUAR.com. 53 minutes after the hour. Thanks for joining us here on the Sunday radio broadcast. I better not point at the camera. People will think it's threatening. Winners win, losers lose, especially in Olathe, Kansas, and especially in the Johnson County Courthouse. It is the Jiggy Jaguar. You know, I am sitting in the winner's chair because I won the case. Okay, so let's take a different tactic with all this. Let's not look at this from the perspective of the slander that he has done. Let's not look at it from the chicanery that he has tried to pull. Let's look at this from such a weird look, because originally when all this started, he was trying to get a PFA, which means that he was, in fact, I've still got the paperwork. I still have all the paperwork. Let's look at this. Here's realistically what I had to do. Let him talk. That's it. That's all I had to do was let him talk. Because anybody who hangs out with this guy or is around this guy for more than 5 minutes knows if you let him talk, he's not a good speaker, he's not a good presenter, and apparently he's not a good lawyer. So, you just let him talk. So I did. Well, what he was attempting to do was he got on a website that is called kspop.org. Now, this website was originally set up by the Kansas Legal Services for all sorts of weird things. It's weird. Well, it was set up as a place for people who were in abusive relationships and were in lockdown and needed to get out. So much like he did when he filed the fake, trumped up claim with social services, which, by the way, they did a trace, and they traced it back to Olathe, Kansas. Who lives in Olathe, Kansas? Oh, yeah, that's right. The guy that lost this case. So, you go through and you look at this. Now, he wanted to have a continuance. They have continued this and continued this and continued this and continued this. Now, in court, I got to realize that they've never given him a temporary protection order because he hasn't provided any evidence. Now, another thing that he did was he presented a video, which is a screenshot of me pointing at the camera. And he goes, "See, that means he's going to come get me." Now, of course, he said that there was 2 police officers that had watched the video, and they could be witness to this. Okay, if he was an attorney and he was someone who could put this together, he should have deposed those 2 officers, and he should have asked them to come to court so they could testify on his behalf. He didn't do that. He then provided some audio where I supposedly had challenged him to a fight. Now, he played this audio. He never got to the actual part. And then he fast-forwarded through the audio, but he was really rewinding through the audio. So then he decided, well, he was going to tell everybody that he was in fear of his life. Now, this is the same guy that said that his hands are registered as lethal weapons, which, by the way, we did some checking on that with the state of Kansas. That doesn't exist. He also has challenged me on several occasions to come to some street in Kansas City and fight him. None of that. How do you fancy yourself a tough guy and then all of a sudden you have to file a PFA? So essentially what we did is we just let him talk. Now, I had a statement that I don't think they really let me read much of, but here's what my actual... I had prepared for this. I had audio, I had video, I was ready to go. I had statements. Now, the statement that I thought they would let us do opening statements, is what I thought we were going to have. So my opening statement was as follows. I'm not even sure why I'm in this court today. Last I checked, Mr. Terrence Hayes claims to be a world-famous comedian, world-famous promoter and performer and entertainment artist, which makes him a public figure, much like a Donald Trump. I am, of course, an entertainment journalist. And then I would, of course, go in and talk about the Ed Baldwin situation. I would say we had the exact same issue we have today back in 2009 in Saline County. I had the exact same issue here where a gentleman who was a public figure did not want to be reported on and was in the public eye. He drummed up the same issue that we have here today, spent 5 hours in court. See, that's another thing. The judge, the Honorable Robert G. Scott, didn't let Terrence Anthony Hayes, the loser from Olathe, it's on record now. He lost this case, so that's not slander. That's record. He didn't let him drone on. See, with all this stuff, and realistically, winners win. I am, of course, a winner. He is, of course, a loser because he lost the case. I have the paperwork in my hand. He lost this case. Basically, that's it. There's nothing else to be said. He trumped up a bunch of stuff. It didn't pass the smell test, as they say, because he filed for a petition from stalking, sexual harassment, or human trafficking. And then he faked a phone number, and then he put Kansas Legal Aid as my phone number. He put something in here about a video. He put something else in here about a guy that wasn't even in the court that day and has nothing to do with this case. And then he put something in there about coming to an event that failed, which, by the way, he admitted failed. Now, part of the reason why it failed was because he's a failed promoter. And that's on record. So, and then on top of this, he said that he was going to sue me for slander, and then he turns around and he slanders Anthony Pinkston and says he's a convicted rapist. There's no record anywhere of Anthony Pinkston from Wichita, Kansas, being a convicted rapist. So here's basically what happened. He tried. He failed. And now he goes into the dustbin of history. That's really what it comes down to. Now, here's the deal. How is he going to deal with the fact that he's a loser? And we don't talk about losers on this broadcast. We talk about winners. And we talk about people like me. Because I'm a winner, double bicep shot again. So that wraps it up. Honestly, that wraps it up here, officially. Tough break for Terrence Anthony Hayes. Tough break that he couldn't con a judge. Tough break. You can launch all the smear campaigns you'd like. Everybody knows the truth. And the truth will set you free. I didn't get buried in court. We'll see you next week.